Hey, it's me, Claudine. I'm gonna paint bread and you can do your own thing or paint alongside me. I will be blabbing this whole time. Yes, that's right. Blabbing is my favorite pastime. It's something that I like to do with my clients in my current business outside of building this art career on YouTube and also my shop that I just launched. So much has changed in life, and that's what I want to talk about is how things could change so quickly in life. And my friend had very wise words. She said, "You know what? If you don't like something, just stop doing it." And I thought to myself, wow, what a concept. What if I just stopped doing it? And I thought about how I made a shift in my personal training business recently where I stopped coming in to do sessions a couple days a week at night because I would come in at morning and at night. And it's kind of tiring. I love my clients, but it's still work because you have to come in. It's something that you have to drive to, and driving is not my favorite. I don't know why. Driving just irks me sometimes. I think it's just people who don't know how to follow traffic rules are driving, and it's bothering me a lot. I digress. I just stopped doing the thing that I didn't like. And yes, I was afraid at first because I thought to myself, wait, what if I reduce my hours and I'm not going to get paid as much? And it was a scary thought. But I thought back on all the things that I've done in my life where I stopped doing the thing that I was so resentful of. Again, I love my clients. I'm more so resentful of coming in two separate times of the day. That's it. Has nothing to do with my clients. I thought to myself, how can I be a better trainer for my clients and also a better friend, because I see us as all friends, but I am the friend who is kind of like a dictator in their life where I'm always just telling them what to do and they just listen and they keep coming back, and I don't know why they keep coming back. But in order to be a better communicator and friend and business owner overall, I got to get my energy up. And one way to get my energy up is to have more time for myself and also building my art business online. So that was one change that I made. And again, it was really scary because growing up, not just me, a lot of people I've talked to, it's just the culture that we're in America, and also I see that in a lot of developed countries. There's a lot of hustle culture going on where we think we need to do every single thing in our in our will, I guess, every single moment in order to build our career, our business, or our building our cash flow. It's always about the money, okay? And I'm not saying that because I resent money. I'm more so, again, I resent the overwork that we put upon ourselves. And I just stopped doing that. Because, again, growing up, you hear that you have to do so much in order to receive the bare minimum, which I don't subscribe to that belief system anymore. I realize that a lot of life is just perspective. That's the reality that you live in. And if you change your perspective, your reality changes. And I thought it was just a bunch of BS, a bunch of woo woo at first. I was like, this is a bunch of like all those crazy people online. That's, the horoscopy people. This is all they talk about. But you know what? I am a new believer in this, and my belief is simple, is that I don't need to suffer in life in order to enjoy it. I don't need to suffer in order to create a new career for myself. I don't need to suffer in order to earn more money. I don't need to suffer in order to get more clients. I don't need to suffer, period, because why? I changed my perspective. And there's something to be said about stopping what you don't like in order for your life to change. It just sounds so simple. It's scary, but it's simple. Like what my friend said, just stop what you don't like. And I think we get stuck in the same routine that we suffer in because we think there's no other way. Or maybe we do think there's another way, but that other way is scary and it might be more painful. And that was the belief that I stuck myself to growing up. Growing up as in college, because looking back, I was still very much a child, even when I got out of college. And I thought to myself, going back to there's only one way, but if there's another way, it's going to be more painful. For me, it's taking a job at a big box gym. And the way for me was I don't want to work a 9 to 5. So I did not go down that route because I looked in one of my engineering classes one time, me struggling to get my prerequisites in engineering in undergrad. I looked around my class and I thought to myself, this is the most depressing thing I have ever seen. I don't want to do this. And I stopped that, right? I stopped it. But in my head, my belief was, what's the other route? If I want to become independent, become a business owner, it needs to be really, really difficult. And guess what happened? It was difficult. When I first started building my training business, I was scraping by. You have no idea. I stopped going to certain places and timed my routes and consolidated my, my errands because I needed to make sure that I could make my gas money work and also make rent. And again, it was that belief system that I imposed on myself because I needed to find a way outside of the 9 to 5 life. I thought that the other way was going to be difficult. And so it was, until I started building my confidence and my belief that things will work out. Things don't have to be so difficult. That's when things started to change. For instance, it's when I started picking up traction in my training business a few years in, because in the beginning it was really hard because it felt like such an up and down, and that's what I kept hearing and that's what I kept telling myself that would happen is this business is very up and down. Any type of business is up and down, and it's going to be very, very difficult. And again, that's what happened because why? That's my belief system. So when I stopped subscribing to that belief system, and I thought to myself, how about I just focus on serving people, serving anyone who I come across in any way. And I was taught that service attitude from several good friends of mine who were successful and they had their own businesses. It was a completely different mindset than what I've learned growing up and than what I've learned from the big box gym that I started my training career at. I learned that in order to thrive in any career you choose, it really just does come down to how you look at how you can serve people and what your belief system is. Is your belief system all about suffering, all about just scraping by? Or do you believe that because you are someone who is of service, you're always down to help people, and you keep your faith up that things will work out? Because they always do. I believe it because looking back on all the things that I used to worry about as a younger child and just a young college student, it really didn't matter what I was worried about because it doesn't matter now. I was worried about it for too long in that time period that I caused myself too much grief and anxiety. And what good did that do me? It did not do me any good at all. So going back to my point of with any career you choose, it's all about how can you serve people. You will reap what you sow in whatever way it happens. It really doesn't matter, because for me, for example, I would help out someone with how to count their calories or how to fix their knee pain when they're squatting. And they may not end up training with me, but they ended up referring me to someone else. Or we keep in touch over the years and they end up being a client later on. Or they just ended up not being clients at all, and we just maintained a really good connection. And I think just having that great connection, you just never know where it will lead you to. And again, that comes from the change that you make in your life. The change starts with you changing your belief system that things will always work out. You'll always be taken care of. And that starts with you figuring out why you think things won't be taken care of, because something happened in your past and you got to do some digging as to why you keep telling yourself the same story that life has to be so difficult, because it really doesn't. And yes, things will happen out of our control, that will cause us grief. It'll cause a lot of sadness and anger, but what do you do after that? How do you move forward? I think that's the most important thing. Again, it comes down to perspective. How will you reform or reframe what has happened into something that will serve you or help you grow in the years to come? And going back to my point of how life can change so quickly, you just stop doing what you don't like. And for me, the biggest thing I realized in my 20s that I did not like was the way I thought. I knew deep down that my anxiety and my downward spiraling thoughts of everything is gonna end up not working out, I needed to stop that. I didn't like it. I didn't like the thought process. So what did I do about it? I stopped it. And not only that, I dug into why I thought that way. And I realized I just heard random tidbits from people around me while I was growing up, and I made it into my belief system. And I thought to myself, that's so interesting. I've just been living my life based on that random thing I heard when I was 8 years old. And it wasn't even a thing that person thought of for the rest of their life. But I made it so real that it played out into unhealthy thoughts later in the future. But now that I recognize that, I am able to move past it, and I take it as a learning lesson, and I share it with my clients. That's one thing that I love with my clients. We don't just gossip, okay? We have a great time gossiping. We talk about what's going on in the gym, because overall my clients are very unproblematic people. That's what I appreciate about them. But, sometimes being in the gym is like reality TV. We just want to know the tea on what's going on in there. But at the same time, we have pretty deep conversations. We love talking about psychology, why we are the way we are, how people operate, and we love seeing the patterns of why people do the things they do, and also why we eat the way we eat, why we overeat, why we undereat, and why we have such a weird relationship with exercise. And it all comes down to hearing random things from when we were growing up. And again, it plays into the rest of our lives without us knowing it. It all becomes so subconscious until we make it not subconscious. We make it not rule our lives. So it's very fascinating. Our brains are very powerful. Our minds are very powerful. We can control our lives a lot more than we think. And again, there are some things that just happen that are out of our control, but we move forward, and that's the best that we can do. And it's just like this bread painting. This bread painting was insane. I had a really good time, but there were points where I was like, oh God, this is not turning out right. But you know what? I made do. I made it work, and I decided not to do any pencil sketching beforehand because I wanted to freehand it. And it turned out way better than I expected. And isn't that life? Isn't that great? Because you can always change things, and if you don't like it, you move on to the next bread painting. You move on to the next career choice, move on to the next whatever it is for you. Because what? What is it? It's all about your perspective. It's all in your control. Whatever you can control all starts with your mind and your perspective. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this. I feel like this turned into a motivational talk. I did not expect that. I was in a weird place earlier and I was like, you know what? Let me just blab my heart out. But I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!